Welcome to Community Matters on ThinkTech Hawaii. I'm your host, Jay Fidell. Today, we'll talk about protecting Kewalo Basin Park and all of Kaka'ako Makai. We talk about the Friends of Kewalo and how they are celebrating 20 years of protecting Kaka'ako Makai. Our guest for the show is Ron Iwami, who is an advocate to protect Kaka'ako shoreline and waters. Welcome to the show, Ron. Thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me, Jay.
It's important, Ron, that we all of us continue to protect Kaka'ako Makai from residential condo development, especially high-rise development, and that we publicize the efforts of your organizations in that regard. So let's talk about what you've been doing. What have you been doing, Ron? What have the Friends of Kewalo Basin been doing?
We just recently on Saturday had a 18th annual cleanup of Kewalo Basin Park and also a 20-year celebration of from when we got started. So for 20 years, Jay, we've been protecting not only Kewalo Basin Park, but it grew to Kaka'ako Makai because we felt that whatever happens to Makai is going to impact us at our little park. So that's why we are protecting Makai from getting any more high rises on the ocean side in urban Honolulu. I think it's very important because we represent the people, I guess the people who live here, uh, locals, and even newcomers who have saw Hawaii change greatly from a place where you had mom and stop pop stores, a place where you could just park for free and go to the beach. But now it's getting harder and harder to find those things here in Hawaii. You remember those days, right, Jay? And
Oh, yeah, I remember them very well. In fact, we have a show which recorded earlier today called How We Got Here. And we talked about the good old days, and it brings back nostalgic memories for me.
yeah, so just continuing, what's happening in Makai now, the land got transferred to OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, in 2012. And from that time till now, they tried 7 times to repeal the no residential ban that was there since 2005. And once they repeal the ban, everybody's coming over to build. You know that fact, right? So let me just back up a little. We were formed in 2005. Right now, today is 2025, 20 years. 2005 was when we learned of the Alexander and Baldwin plan on the same public land that OHA has now. So Alexander and Baldwin was going to purchase the land from the state government for 50 million, 36.5 acres on prime waterfront land. What they were going to build on that land was luxury high rises, high end restaurants. And what alarmed us the most at Kewalo Basin Park was iconic pedestrian bridge that was required in the RFPs that would span the Kewalo Channel from the John Dominus end to the Kewalo Basin Park end. And that will have changed the whole mana of the park. Because at the Kewalo end, there was a huge white tinsel tent, similar to the one that was at Ward Theaters. I don't know if you remember, big white tent. Under the tent was commercial retail restaurants. So, and then where Kupu is, I don't know if you know where Kupu is on the point, it was a high-end restaurant. And all the way from Almana Boulevard, as you enter Kewalo Basin Park would have a two-story commercial, other high-end restaurants. So the whole, like I said, the spirit of the park would change. And that really impacted us. So that's when we talked and say, we got to do something. If we just sit on our okole and let it happen, we have nothing to complain about. So six of us decided to organize. And that was the birth of Friends of Kewalo 20 years ago. And from that time on, we continued to protect not only our little park, but then uh, Kaka'ako Makai and even Alamara Park. Because I just recite our mission statement, which has been around for 20 years and is a guiding star for our organization. It is to protect, preserve, and malama Kewalo Basin Park and the surrounding shoreline areas and oceans to ensure the recreational user continues to have access and the ability to enjoy the area for future generations to come. So that is our mission. And like I say, it's a guiding star. It has took us 20 years to this point. And we we call ourselves kind of like the protectors of the South Shore now. And we modeled after John Kelly and Keone Downing of Save Our Surf. And Keone Downing was a mentor of mine back in 2005 and 6. And he guided us every step of the way. If you folks recall, Magic Island was under threat of being, they're going to build high rises there, hotels, I think. So, and part of that plan, they was going to cover the Alamana reefs where all the surf spots are from Bamburas, heading Eva, all concessions, big rights, you know, all the way to Kiwalos where we surf. Can you imagine that? They're covering it, filling it in, destroying the surf spots forever and building on it. So Save Our Surf was the protectors in the 60s. And now I see our group, along with our coalition members, to be the protectors in modern day today.
You have been very effective because up till now you have preserved the shoreline. You have preserved Kaka'ako and Kewalo Park. But let me tell you a short story, Ron. A story that you may not have remembered. A and B was going to build 3 condominium buildings there on the water.
Correct.
2 of them were going to be leasehold, and 1 of them was going to be fee simple. And they were all 3 of them were going to be high rise, and they were going to sell them. This is under the Lingle administration, and Ted Lieu, who was then the DBED, was encouraging them to do that. And one afternoon, ThinkTech was on Hawaii Public Radio. We got a call from the CEO of A and B, and he said, "Can I come over to your studio? I want to make an announcement." I said, "You're always welcome in our studio." And he did. He came over at the appointed time. I think it was like 5 o'clock that afternoon. And we gave him the hour to talk about his situation and what he wanted to announce. And his announcement was they were cutting the deal, they were stopping the development. None of that would happen. And there was such political pressure from you guys and from others that A and B could not do that development. And so it never happened. And I thought that was one of the best radio shows we ever did on ThinkTech on HPR. I don't know if you know that story.
Yeah. The man you were talking about is Stan Kuriyama.
That's right.
Yeah. Because we met with him too. And as soon as A and B learned that the legislators voted unanimously, except for one legislator, to pass this residential ban for Makai. And he told me, yeah, that was it. With with that ban, and it cannot build residential, the plan will not pencil. So, like he came and broadcasted that to everyone. So, yeah, I know Stan too, and he was just doing his job because he's a surfer too, so he understood our position. So I have nothing really bad to say. It he was doing his job, we were doing ours, and that's how it turned out.
Let me just ask you a question about that. You talk about the legislature, passing a law, a ban on residential development at around that time in the middle 2000s. You know. But wasn't Kaka'ako Makai already zoned to exclude condominium development? Why did the legislature have to pass a ban?
Oh, okay. That's a good question, Jay, because I can answer that. HCDA, Hawaii Community Development Authority, is the authority for all development in Kaka'ako. That includes Mauka and Makai. So they had a meeting uh, early, or actually, like November of 2005. They were going to decide to change the zoning at that meeting to allow residential. So me and my partner went because we learned of the meeting. And when we got there, it was in the Gold Bond building on the 10th floor. That was the head office of HCDA. It's a small room. I mean, it's not a big place to gather a lot of people. So there was standing room only, and all the board of HCDA was at the table. And I noticed in the audience there was a lot of developers, construction people, uh, money people, uh, all there to testify for changing the zoning to allow residential. Where I looked around for regular people like me and my partner, but being Wednesday at 9 a.m. in the morning, it made it very difficult for the regular working class people to make it. So we just watched in the wings, and in just that one meeting, Jay, he pounded the gavel. We changed the zoning to allow residential. 1 week, no, the next day, it was the headlines. Residential is allowed now in Kaka'ako Makai. And they spoke, they showed the plans of the A and B plan. They had it already. Yeah. So they had to have discussed all of this before the meeting. And the meeting's result was known to them in order for them to proceed with the plan. Yeah. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe not the day before, but 1 week later, they divulged A and B was selected as the master developer, and this is their plan. So
Hmm.
does that answer your question, Jade? It was in one meeting.
It was a big contention all through. You talk about having a 20th anniversary here. The fact is, it's been a slog all the way through. You've had to be vigilant. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance, and that includes now. So last year there was a bill promoted by aggressively promoted by OHA to change all of that back to a residential characterization, and that failed in the legislature last year. But then it came up again this year. Can you talk about what happened this year?
Okay, this year, what changed? They brought in a new chairman of the board for OHA. His name is Kai Kahele.
Mm,
I'm sure you heard of his name
mm,
because
sure.
he's in the political circles. First appointed to the legislature when his father passed away. The father was a senator on the Big Island. And the governor at that time appointed Kai to take his father's place. So that's how he got his start in the legislature and in politics. Then, yeah, he went to uh, become a congressman, and he succeeded. He took Tulsi Gabbard's place, but I guess he or his family didn't like it in Washington, so he left, gave up his congressman post to run for governor against Green, and he lost. Yeah, but so he has a lot of political savvy, and I think that's why Oha approached him because he was available, so he became the new chairman. So that's a big difference, but he still guided the board Oha to repeal the law. Yeah. And he tried his best with all his political savvy. And that was a big difference between last year and this year. So we had many conversations with him. He was really open to us, which was good. And but we still didn't see eye to eye. Another important factor this year, uh, Jay, was we lost an ally in Scott Psyche, the Speaker of the House. He would always, the bill, all through the 7 times they tried, would sail through the Senate because the Senate has a big Hawaiian caucus to support OA. It would sail through the Senate, but once it crosses to the House, that's when Scott Psyche, he's the Speaker of the House and the representative of Kaka'ako. He stopped it because his belief was he does not want residential there. But since this year we lost Psyche, we were thinking, oh man, it's going to pass Senate, go to the House. What's going to happen in the House? But like I told you earlier in the show, that if you sail through the Senate until that last hearing, where the committee chairmen there could not agree on how to proceed, so they deferred the bill right there, and it didn't even cross over. So we were elated because we didn't know how it's going to turn out on the House side once it crosses.
We covered it last year, and we got familiar with some of the issues involved. But maybe you can tell us. I mean, first of all, is a high-rise condo in Kaka'ako Makai consistent with OHA's mission? Remember that OHA got this in lieu of some cash, and they cut a deal with Abercrombie back when. He gave them this land in lieu of what the state owed them, and at that time, residential condos were prohibited. There was zoned to prohibit residential condos in construction on Kaka'ako Makai. They knew about it at the time. And so this was a thought they had sometime afterward, I mean, I guess, because they began this campaign. But is the campaign and the development of a high rise condo in Kaka'ako Makai consistent with OHA's mission?
I guess the best way I can answer that, I don't believe it is if you read their mission statement on their website. But the reasoning Kai Kahele and the other trustees explained to us, they said, in order for them to reap the best and highest and best use for that land that they got transferred to them, they have to build residential. But that puzzles me too, like, because they knew of the ban before signing the deal, but they took it anyway. But anyway, yeah, so they said, Ron, the only way we can get the highest and best use is we gotta build residential. And that's the only way we can reap the 200 million that was owed to them, to that city land issue you just spoke about. And that's the explanation they gave to us. So I don't know, like I believe a lot of other people I talk to, they cannot believe Oahu is trying to do that because that land is special. It's the last public oceanfront land in urban Honolulu. So we have tried to convince OHA since 2012 that you could trade the land for other lands inland, like the stadium land, where housing is allowed. And they could reap benefits there because of the whole rail concept, a rail station. But for some reason, their eyes are still on Makai. I think it's they see the dollar signs.
Mm.
Whether it's going to really go to the people of Hawaii, I mean, the Hawaiians of Hawaii, their constituents, we don't know. But that's what they claim. So, yeah, I
Well,
guess
they claim they want to have affordable housing, but can you have affordable housing when you develop a high-rise condominium on a point of land in Kaka'ako Makai? Is it possible to have affordable housing? Is that in the picture here?
well, Ola believes it's in the picture because they keep pushing it since 2012. But that land is also uh, field land. Did you know that, Jay? That
Yes.
peninsula was man-made. So whether it can support 400-foot high rises is a question. And common sense tells you it's not stable land that you're building on. It's field land. I got I asked the developer inland uh, who just developed an affordable one, uh, more Malka, and I asked him, "Ah, how deep you had to put those concrete pilings to support the tower? Because his tower was 400 feet too. And he said, I have to go down 189 feet, I want to say, to hit bedrock. And once you hit bedrock, that's what you need to make that solid. That's pretty deep. And if you go to Makai side, it's even closer to the ocean, and the bedrock is probably deeper. You have to go through salt water to get there. And we all know what happens when salt water hits steel or concrete. I mean, steel or iron in those concrete pilings. It'll rust. And maybe for the first 20 years it's solid, but who knows what happens after that? Because I believe it'll be surrounded by ocean water.
Ron, you said it was fill land, but this is special fill land, isn't it? This is fill land where the fill is actually generations of garbage because it was a garbage dump before. And
You're
so in that garbage, there are elements and items that would deteriorate and corrode. So it's more than just the salt water. It's all the corrosion that would happen by virtue of what the fill is.
correct. You're right that there was a rubbish dump and incinerator before. So all the ash, residue ash, was used to fill. So all, like you say, the contaminants are still there. And that's why it's a safety issue too. I mean, can you safely build a 400-foot tower? And are you going to take that risk to for the lives of all those people who are living in there to make a quick buck? They don't. So every part of that land doesn't point to build residential towers 400 feet tall. Yeah, uh, but they still want to do it.
This is right on the shoreline, and we do have climate change. Sometimes we forget that we have climate change, but we do have climate change, and that includes sea level rise. So if you build a big structure near the shoreline, you're asking for trouble, right? The sea will rise and it will undermine those supports. It will undermine the structure itself over time. Isn't that true? And that's another element of risk, isn't it?
Yeah, we are in a period of climate change, which brings sea level rise. So why put people in harm's way right on the shoreline? The shoreline should be a buffer for like tsunamis, storm surges, flooding. And so that's another point where that's the third point why it doesn't make sense to build residential on that shoreline land. So there's the field part, there's the contamination, toxic land, and there's the sea level rise. But so all those reasons point to not building.
There's another point
Okay,
we're going to talk about, and that is Kaka'ako Park is a people park. People go
exactly.
down there, they have picnics just like the good old days. They bring their families, their pets, they enjoy the open spaces of Kaka'ako Park. As soon as you start building condos, you're you're behind a fence. You can't enjoy all the land that was public before. So I mean, I have a problem with that myself because I take my dog down to Kaka'ako Park and I walk my dog around and I love the place. It's really beautiful and open and green. And I think if you start slicing pieces off, that's not available to me. It's a park that's been taken away from the public, right?
Right, right. Well, OHA claims that they're not going to build on the park, but they don't real. So they said, yeah, we're still going to retain ocean access for everyone. But when you build around the park, 400-foot high rises, then like you say, the people are behind a fence now. They're going to say, I'm sorry, sir, you can't walk this way because it's private property, right? And plus, the parking, a big part of access is parking. All those residents in those towers, if they were to be built, where do you think all the guests and people will park? Will park in the parking because they don't want to pay the high fees for the parking structure where they live, right? So they don't believe. How can they not say it will not impact public access to the park? I don't know. it, but I keep telling them it is. It is. I don't know, Jay. We've been protecting this place for 20 years, and like you say, it's a slog. Every year we have to think: are they going to come back again? Who's the next owner that will do it? Will there be an end? But what's good is I'm 70 years old, Jay, and I don't know how long more I can take this slog, but what keeps me going is I use the area, I surf in the area, and I want it to be preserved for future generations. So we are actively looking for people to pass the torch on to carry out the mission of Friends of Kewalo and protect the shoreline area. And like you said, protect open spaces. In fact, we use that on some of our merchandise that we're selling, protect open spaces. Like before, like in 2005 and 6, when we were rallying against the A and B plan, uh, we we decided our our rallying cry was public land not for sale, which is sort of like open space land, right? So anyway, yeah, that's what happened back then. Uh, Yeah, we
And you,
still yeah. So this more recently, we our banner, one of our banners says, instead of no residential in Makai, which kind of have as a negative connotation because everybody needs a place to live. So we changed that to protecting open spaces for Hawaii's future generations. She's a positive statement, but it's pretty much saying the same thing. So now we have that as our rallying cry, protecting open spaces for Hawaii's future generations.
I assume you're going to have this challenge going forward because OHA is well heeled and OHA will continue this project. I would hope that through Kai Kahele that they'll take some other land in lieu. They've been offered, as you said, they've been offered an exchange for a long time, but they want the big bucks involved in what they think they're going to get from a condominium project. The whole side of the island is condominiums. You could drive down Ala Moana and it's condominiums here and condominiums there. What about the people? We can't lose this space. But so you're going to have to continue to be vigilant, and I hope that you can find somebody to succeed you and all that. I'm hoping too that the legislature will remember this and will stay aware of the stakes here, because from a city planning point of view, if you remember, HCDA was city land, but the legislature, in its infinite wisdom, made it state land, and they made it a state
Hey,
parcel to
yeah.
be governed by the state, and this put it into a lot of political turmoil over the years. Kaka'ako Makai is only one of a number of political issues that have arisen since HCDA and the state took over this land. So, and it never made sense to have the state own a piece this big in the middle of the city. We have to plan. We have to have city planning. We have to consider neighborhoods. We have to consider the organic development of our city. And this park is somehow central in the organic development of Kaka'ako. So what you're doing is so important. It's kind of the last big holdout. And I always wished you well, and I wish you well now. But I worry about who will have the position going forward, because I don't think that OHA is going to stop.
So the Vice President Shani was going to join. She is, I believe, the one to take us for the next 20 years because I see a lot of me in her. What I mean by that is the passion. She has the passion and she's a doer, not only a talker. When she says she's going to do something, she does it. And so out of all the past uh, board members that we had that came and went, and there was a lot, I see the most promise in her. And the good part, Jay, is she's young, energetic, and she can rile the next generation to protect the area. Yeah, so I'm happy about that.
Ron, one of the things that she could do, or that you could suggest that she does, is ask the state to spend some money maintaining, cleaning. You say you have a cleanup, but the state should be cleaning this. The state should be improving it. The state should be building park structures there. I recall, I don't know if you recall, but there was a large bathroom right in the middle of Kaka'ako next to the parking lot. and somebody got
Yes.
tired of cleaning it. The state HCDA got tired of cleaning it. So what did they do? They demolished it, and
Yes.
that's one solution for a building that's not clean. You just demolish it, but then they never rebuilt it. And I think the state has to be reminded that they have to maintain, improve the whole park. They have to make sure that everything that was built is in good shape, and they have to build other things that will attract the public, the people, including bathrooms.
Yeah. I know which bathroom you're talking about. It was right behind the Children's Discovery Center.
Right.
Yeah, to bring a bathroom closer to that level, uh I call it a field now, grassy field, because I see soccer teams practicing there, which is a good use of the park, but they need a bathroom. The only bathroom is you have to walk all the way to the ocean, to the waterfront park where the mounds are, and use the bathroom there. So I understand what you're saying. The state needs to maintain the parks, yeah, for the people. Yeah, that's what the parks are for, right?
So we're almost out of time.
Okay,
Let
okay.
me ask you to tell the people who may watch this video the message you would like to leave with them. This isn't just your issue, and it isn't just a gathering of people to have a 20-year celebration about it. This is an issue for everyone in Oahu. In fact, everyone in the state. This park is iconic, and it should be it should be continued as pristine as possible, and it should not become commercial. It should not become a residential haven. It should be beautiful. And I wonder, and everyone benefits by that. Everyone in the city, everyone in the state. So, can you talk to them? It's beyond Friends of Kewalo, isn't it?
Yes, yes, yes.
What would you say to them?
If you are a resident of Hawaii, I mean, or even a newcomer, Hawaii is an island state surrounded by water. To me, the ocean is one of the biggest assets of living here. Yeah, and access to the ocean is very, very, very important. Thousands of people use it daily for sustenance and for recreation, for physical fitness, and just to be out in nature in an open space. And all of you out there know what that feels like when you come to a beautiful park. You look at the sunrise, you look at the sunset, you look at the ocean. It makes you feel so calm. And in this busy world of ours, we need that, more of that. So I appeal to you how we have fought this thing for 20 years and succeeded is not by money, is not by filing a lawsuit. It was by the people, you and I, and Friends of Kewalos, and everybody out there. We That is the most powerful power base we have because we don't have money. The people up there have the money and they have the connections to the policymakers. But we, for 20 years, so it got to be right, from the power base of the people, we're able to preserve that land to be non-residential and for all the people of Hawaii. That's the message. So if you want to be part of that people power base, to be part of this grassroots movement and help us every year because it'll come up every year. Join our website or go to our website, join our contact list. And when we need to mobilize people, we'll send you an email. I say, come out, let's go to the Capitol with our red shirts and testify. And I tell you, that makes a difference when the legislators see all of us in our red shirts with our saying, protecting open spaces for Hawaii's future generations. That really, I think, hits home. So the only way we can do that is get more people on board. So please go to our website. It's friendsofkewalos.org. Friends of Kewalo, no S, yeah. We recently changed our name from Kewalos to Kewalo because we wanted to be culturally correct to the Hawaiian language or the place name of Kewalo. That's the message out there. Thank you, Jay, for having me. And I any opportunity to spread the word, I take it. So I'm very grateful for your invitation to join ThinkTech.
What are the photos that you have that we're going to show?
Well, actually, I just sent the group photo of Saturday's event. That photo is like speaks 1,000 words because it shows all of us there who worked hard and cleaned the park, and we celebrated together. And the enthusiasm and the smiles on their faces, just shows how good they feel giving back to this park that has, fulfilled our lives all these years.
Okay, let's leave it there. Thanks so much to our special guest, Ronnie Iwami, an advocate to protect Kaka'ako, the shoreline, and the waters. I'm Jay Fidell, host of Community Matters, and we have been engaging on protecting Kewalo Basin Park and all of Kaka'ako Makai. Thanks to our viewers for watching. We'll see you again soon for the next one. Aloha.
Aloha, Jay, and everybody out there.